Hi learners, welcome to Bravo Easy to Speak English Grammar course, and the course we are going to follow today is called Punctuation, which is one of the most important things in English language. Now without punctuation marks you just cannot master the language, and you need it in writing, speaking, mostly in everything that you need to be able to use punctuation. Now there are 14 punctuations that's available in English language, and you really have to master them. There's no ways about it. You have to learn them, and will be able to know where and when to use them when you're writing, especially for proofreaders, people who use a lot of grammar, people who use a lot of English writing. You need to know the punctuation. It's just the rules of it. You know, there's no way you can do a paragraph, you can do writing without knowing the punctuation. So let's just go through all the 14 punctuations that you need to master them. Once you have learned them all, you have learned punctuation. There's no way about it. So let's just go through one by one, and I'll tell you all the 14 punctuations that's in the language, and then we'll go through each and every one of them individually to see with some examples. Okay, out of the 14 ones, let me go through one by one. First one is colon, semicolon, full stop, the comma, question mark, ellipsis, quotation mark, brackets, hyphen, dashes, slash, the apostrophe, braces. So the 14th one is exclamation mark, and once you master them all 14, then you have got the skills of letter writing. So they have to be used in all the letter writings and essays and paragraphs and any communication that you have between companies and yourselves when you are applying for letters. Wherever you need English language, you need to know the punctuation marks. So now that we have seen all the 14 punctuation marks, master them all and remember them what they are, because there's no other way that you can learn them by not remembering them. So remember them what they are, and then let's just go through one by one each of them with some examples, so you know what they are and where they're used and when they're used. Okay, so we spoke about the 14 punctuations, and I'm going to go through one by one with a description or the brief meaning of the punctuation and also some examples. So once I go through all this, I'm sure you'll be able to understand it, and most of the punctuations that you would have seen them being used in English, and you might not even know what they are or what's the name of it. So now this exercise is going to clear all that in your head, and we're going to go through them one by one. So the first one is colon, C-O-L-O-N, colon. Now a colon consists of two dots, one above the other. So this is a sign of colon. So when this sign is seen, it's called the colon, and it's used like one dot above the other dot. It's often used in the list of items. So when you have a list of items and you need to itemize them, usually this sign colon is used in a paragraph. It connects two clauses also. So when you are connecting two clauses, and then you can use this as well. So when you are doing a list of items, or when you are collecting two clauses, the sign of colon is used. So just watch out, it's just only two dots. Now I'm going to give you one or two examples where it's used, so that you know what a colon is and where it should be used in writing. Okay, so we've seen the description of what colon is. Now let's see the example where we are going to be using it. The sentence I've taken here is, you will need to bring 3 things to the party. The sign colon is used here. Some food, some things to drink, and a small gift for the hostess who runs the party. So you can see, like as I said to you before, colon it combines the list of items. So here we are saying, you will need to bring 3 things to the party. So we have already said that 3 things. So you know that more than one is a list. So it's 3 things and what they are. So that the colon is saying to connect some food, some things to drink, and a small gift for the hostess who runs the party. So this is where the colon is used in this particular sentence. Now there's going to be one more sentence that we can look at, where it becomes a clause and how it's used. So the first example was to combine list of things. So we saw that what they need to bring for the party, the 3 things that they had to bring for the party was combined with the colon sign. Now here it's a clause that's combined with the colon sign. So the second part of the example is, I will tell you what I'm going to do. So that's the statement is made using colon because it's a clause that is adding on to the sentence to say what he is going to do. So I will tell you what I am going to do, colon, I am going to quit. So he's decided that he wants to quit. But so he's telling the person, I'll tell you what I want to do. I've decided, oh, I'm going to quit. So here we get, it's a clause, two statements that's combined together with colon sign, and the previous one, it was a list of items that was combined together with a colon sign. So this is what a colon sign means. It's two dots, one above the other, that are used in sentences, paragraphs, letter writing, essays, wherever you're using English grammar. So let's move on to the second punctuation, which is semicolon. Okay, the second one is semicolon out of the 14 punctuation marks that's available. A semicolon it consists of a comma with a dot above it. So that is what the sign is. The previous one was two dots, the colon. This is semicolon with a dot and a comma. So consists of a comma with a dot above it. A semicolon is often used to join together two independent clauses. It joins together two independent clauses. In other words, it's joined two clauses that could be sentences. So two clauses that become sentences is also joined with it, and is often used to join together two independent clauses. So as we are going to go on, we're going to look at a couple of examples where they will be used so that you can understand it better. So we have seen semicolon, and we have seen the sign of semicolon and the description of semicolon. Now we are going to be looking at the example where it's been used. First example, Mary drives a Mercedes, Joan drives a Ford. You can see here they both are driving, but two different types of cars. So when you're using this as a sentence, you want to say together, Mary drives a Mercedes with a semicolon sign, Joanna drives a Ford. So here two clauses, two sentences that has been joined together with semicolon. You can always say Mary drives a Mercedes and Joanna drives a Ford. Yes, it's not wrong, but when you're writing it in English, the best way to join these together is with a semicolon when you're using it in a paragraph or a sentence. Second one, John is a Canadian. However, he lives in United States. So being Canadian, he's not living in Canada. So that's what it means. John is Canadian. However, he lives in United States. So there's two sentences here. A Canadian doesn't have to live in Canada. So he's living in United States. But it's, it combines that, there's two sentences. John is a Canadian. He lives in the United States. Because it relates to John, and his nationality and where he is residing is two different places. So that's why the word however is used to join together with the semicolon, so that it makes sense that John is a Canadian who lives in United States. So a semicolon is used on occasions like this. The third punctuation we are going to be seeing today, it's called full stop. Now this is something that you would have come across definitely, or sometime in your letter writing exercises, and it's a very common word in the punctuation that you would hear all the time. Full stop. The sign is a dot. So we have seen like three different dots now. The colon with two dots, semicolon with dot and comma, full stop is with dot. Now full stop, it's mostly used at the end of the sentences. So when you write something, full stop. So that's the sign of it. The moment you put the dot, it completes the sentence. When I said mostly, because not always. The second example is if abbreviations are used in the sentence. If I'm using abbreviation when I'm writing, then you will use the full stop to separate the abbreviation to the next line. So if abbreviations are used in the sentences, then full stop is applied in between the sentences. So mostly it's the end, the dot finishes a sentence, but sometimes in abbreviations are used in between the sentences, then the dot full stop will be used in between the sentence to differentiate the next lines. So that is what full stop is. It's quite a simple exercise. So let me just give you a couple more examples on them as well, so that you understand where to use them. We have two examples of the full stop. So I did tell you that full stop is used in two different formats. One thing to complete a sentence. Second thing, if abbreviations are used, it's applied with a little full stop next to it so that you know it's an abbreviation word to the lengthy word that has been used. So first example is I went to the market. Straightforward sentence with a full stop with a dot. So full stop is a dot that completes a sentence. Secondly, the full stop is used with the abbreviation. This advertisement or advertisement is published by the Department of Tourism. So here the advertisement and department is been abbreviated. So the full stop comes next to it to show that it's an abbreviation word which has more to it, and the sentence is coming like that with the full stop. So that means the sentence has come to an end. So this advert, abbreviated to ADVT with a dot, is published by the department, abbreviated to DEPT with a dot, of tourism and full stop. So that's what the full stop means. It's used in two different places when you're making the sentences. So the fourth one is called comma. Now the sign of a comma is this. You have the dot and then you have the curve that comes with it. So that's the sign of the comma. Now comma is a symbol used to indicate a pause between parts of the sentence, separating items in a list. So when you have the symbol of comma is used when you use the word pause. So when you're pausing, not use the word pause, sorry, when you're using pause in between a sentence, the comma is used, and it is used to separate items of a list as well. So let's go through a couple of examples so that you can understand how and when a comma is used. The examples of the commas. Now I've taken two examples. There are 5 people in the room named with semicolon because the names are to follow. Susan, comma, Paul, comma, John, comma, David and Mike. Because the last two are connected with and, you don't need a comma here. But the people, 5 people are there, so after each person's name there will be a comma and with and. So you can see we have used like some punctuations here. There's semicolon has been used, there's commas been used, and is being used to connect the last two words or names. Second example, so this is a pause because there are 5 people in the room named pause, Susan, Paul, John, David and Mike. Here it's a clause. If he is qualified, comma, then he is eligible to apply for the job. So there's two statements here. If he is qualified, so he is qualified, then he is eligible to apply for the job. So to combine together, it will be if he is qualified, there's a pause, comma, because there's a clause here to follow, then he is eligible to apply for the job. So these are the two examples where the comma is used with a dot and a curve is a comma, and is all mostly in every sentence there will be a comma with a clause or a pause to be used to complete the sentence. And then you can see we have a full stop that we spoke about earlier on there, and there's a full stop that we spoke about earlier on there as well. The fifth part of the punctuation mark, it's called the question mark. Now the meaning of the question mark is when doubt is raised or asked in a question form, it's with the sign that. So every punctuation that we are finding today is all with a sign. So it's like double dots for colon and dot with a curve for the semicolon and full stop. So when the doubt is raised or asked in a question form, it's with the sign this. So this is question mark. So we've been seeing the punctuations now. We'll be seeing one by one. The first was we looked at colon, then we looked at semicolon, we looked at full stop, then we looked at comma. Now we are looking at question mark. So you can see it's all signs, okay, even though they have a name to it, it's all signs. So that's what it is. And then when it's applied, it always ends with the question mark. So when you're asking a question in a doubt or you're raising your doubt to form a question, it always finishes with the sign. So when you finish a sentence, we spoke about full stop, remember? But here we don't need full stop, we would need full stop with the curve like that to finish a sentence, because when you're asking a question and it finishes with the question mark, it has to finish with the sign curve. It's like a hook. It's like a hook with the stop, the full stop. So the full stop is there, but when it becomes a question mark, you will have the curve and the full stop. So it's all signs we are looking at in the punctuation. So punctuation is all about signs, and the different names of the signs are these. So the fifth one we are looking is question mark. So as I said to you before, when you're raising a doubt, or when you're asking a question in a doubt format, it becomes a question mark. Again, we have two exercises or two examples of the question mark punctuation. Where is your house? So again, you are asking a question with a doubt, or a question where you really want to know where it is. So where is your house? Who is older between Simon and Simpson? So we have Simon and Simpson, and you're not sure the age between them and who is older than who. So the question format is who is older between Simon and Simpson. So question mark is usually it has where, who, when, whom, how, why, what. These are the ways it will start. So the starting of the sentence on the question mark, where it's going to be, it will be, where are you, who are you, when, whom, how, why, what. It depends on the sentence, and you will be using these words to express your question doubt and you'll make the statement, and it will finish with question mark at the end of the sentence. So let's move on to the sixth exercise. Sixth punctuation mark is called ellipsis. Now that's got 3 dots to it. So we're all talking about the signs here with the words. So ellipsis means 3 dots. So I've just added on here because that's the one I'm currently working on. The meaning of it is used to omitting a word, phrases, line, paragraph, or more from a quoted passage. And the second way of explaining is ellipsis saves space or remove materials that are less relevant. For example, I think the easiest way to explain is that if you have written to me a letter and you have quoted a few things on the letter, quoted number 6 point, number 5 point, 4 point, 3 point, whatever the points you have quoted, and I have to reply to you. So instead of repeating what you have quoted me, for example, if you have quoted me a phrase on point number 3 in your letter, instead of repeating the quotation, I could say with ellipsis with 3 dots. That means that you would understand if I say I'm replying to point 3 of your letter. So point 3 of your letter dot dot dot, and this is what my reply is. So you would know the reply is for the third part of the letter that I have quoted here. Instead of repeating the contents again to you, I have said with the 3 dots, which is called ellipsis. So I'll read it one more time so you'll understand. Used to omitting a word, phrase, line, or paragraph, or more from a quoted passage. So it stops the repetition. So the letter doesn't get boring, or it just doesn't get large because we are repeating the content. So it's just omitting that particular word, or omitting the phrase on the letter, or the line of the letter, or the paragraph of the letter, or even more a quoted passage. But I do have to say which line I'm omitting, or which quote, or which paragraph I'm omitting with the 3 dots, so that you would know from the letter that you have written to me, this is a reply back to you. And it also saves spaces, because what's the point of repeating the content in a letter? So it saves the space and the material that are less relevant, but you're still replying to it, but it's less relevant. So that is what the ellipsis means, is the 3 dots. So I have an example here for the ellipsis. This is in connection, because see, somebody has written to me and I'm replying. So it will always be used in some kind of a reply to a person. So here the reply I'm giving is with the example of the ellipsis here. This is in connection to your letter dated 10th July 2015, in which you mentioned you have, sorry I missed that. you have mentioned that I am not, and there's a paragraph you have said about what your feelings on the letter or what your problem is on the letter. So I just don't want to repeat that. It's just boring to repeat the whole thing to him. So if I started off saying what he said, if I finished it with the last couple of words that he has said, then he would know that I'm replying to that particular message or paragraph or the line or whatever he has said to me. So this is how you would write. So the starting what he has said to me in the letter is I am not, then there's a big content, finishing with next month, for example. This is only an example. So instead of repeating what he has said, so I'm just starting to say what he has said and I'm finishing where he says, so he knows that particular line is not repeated. So I have said the ellipsis sign here, so it's understood that I am replying to that particular paragraph or the line. So that is what it means. So it just stops repeating of something. It stops omitting of repeating of something that you don't want to say again, but it's still there. So this is a sign you would use. The second example, it's a little bit different. It's like, you're writing something. For here, this is a very simple example that I'm giving you. It doesn't apply always as a rule, but it's like this. Say there's a letter that I'm writing and it's finishing on that particular page saying the school circular. It's finishing. So now there's a page number 2 is going on. So when you're finishing a page, you will put the 3 dots here, and the beginning of the next page, the 3 dots will come. So that shows to be continued. So the 3 dots, the continuation of the page. So it's very similar to PTO, please turn over. Remember the abbreviation we learned the other day. So it's very similar to PTO, but without writing the PTO. If you put the 3 dots and then it starts here, the next page, so that you know that is continued. So it will be like the 3 dots here will be sent to you by Monday morning. So it's that sign means to be continued. And if you see, like when you're writing a poem, or you're writing a letter, not letter but a story, and it finishes like olden days, it always finishes saying they lived happily ever after. So and then they put the 3 dots. So that means the happiness is to be continued. So it's to be continued is with the 3 dots. So this is a second example of it. So like that, that's how you would write. If you want to continue something, you want to omit something, or you want to repeat something, that you would not be repeating it, but you would just say it with the 3 dots. Right. The 7th punctuation mark, it's called quotation. Now in quotation, to make it a little bit more complicated to you, there is 2 quotations. There's 2 styles of quotations. One is with single, that is like this, and the double with 2. So in between here will be somebody's speech, or the phrase or the sentence or whatever the speech that they have done here will come in between the quotation. Now quoting the word, quotation means quoting the word of other person. So it's quoting of something somebody has said is what is called quotation, and you cannot alter, shorten, nothing. You have to repeat exactly how they said it. So there's no alteration at all. It will be as gospel. Whatever they have said will be repeated. But how it's repeated is the variation. Either it's repeated with a single quotation or is with a double quotation. So let me just go through the single one, what it means, and the double one, so it clears what it is to yourself. So we looked at quotation and we looked at single and double, and I said I'll give you examples of what is a single quotation and what's a double quotation. So it's just with a single mark here in between the speech and double one with in between the speech. Let's take the single one. Single quotation means is used to quote someone who is quoting someone else. So you can see the moment there is like it's a third person speech. It's not the first person speech. So someone is telling someone about something that they've told the third person. So it's a third person speech from the second person who is right. The first person is the one who is quoting. The second person said whatever they said to the third person. So that becomes a single one. So one example I've given you here is David told me that Julie said to Sam, I can't live with you. So you can see here there's 4 people involved. David, myself, Julie and Sam. So this is what it means to use to quote someone who is quoting someone else's. So David is telling me. So in between here itself, there's two of us here. He's telling me, it's kind of a gossip, we can put it. He's telling me what Julie said to Sam. So Julie's speech to Sam is, I can't live with you. So that is what David is telling me. So here the Julie will be the third person who spoke to the fourth person is Sam here. And the first person is David, the second person is myself. So David is telling me what the third person Julie said to the fourth person Sam. Am I confusing you? I hope I'm not. So that is what it means, used to quote someone who is quoting someone else's. So because there's like second person and third person and the fourth person is involved, you would quote it with the single quotation, but you cannot change whatever they have spoken. It has to be repeated exactly what she said to Sam in the single quotation. Now the double quotation will be what we say to each other. Again, you cannot change it, but it will be a direct, almost a direct or the second person speech. So let's go into the double one. Right, now the double quotation. So we have the single one we looked at. Now we have the double one. Double quotation means is used directly to quote the words of someone. So it's almost a direct speech between two people. But again, whatever the other person said, you are not allowed to alter it in any format. You just need to repeat it. But because it's a speech of the other person, you do it with a double quotation. So it's a little bit more simpler than the single one. So the example I have here is, my mother said, I'm going to the market. So it's between me and my mother. So my mother said, I'm going to the market. So that's a speech she said. So when I'm writing it in a letter or when I am putting it on a sentence, I will have to say, my mother said, I'm going to the market. That is her statement, I'm going to the market. So that will become the double, and then obviously full stop. So this is the difference between single one and the double quotation. So the direct speech will be the double one, and indirect speech to the third or the fourth person, the statement that we are writing, it will become the single one. So the next punctuation we are going to be seeing is bracket. Okay, the eighth punctuation mark we are going to be looking at is brackets. So it's got a curve here. The contents will come in between and it will finish up with a curve the other way around. So it's a pair. Okay. So the meaning of that is it's used to set aside messages that are not really essential to the meaning of the text. So even if you don't have the sentence of whatever you are trying to say as an additional information, even if you don't have it in the bracket, it will still make sense. But having the information there with the bracket means, you know, it is an additional info, it is optional or additional. So that is what it means. You know, you don't need to be reading that to read the text. Without that also the text will make some meaning, but with that it's an additional info that's been given. They are always used in pairs. So that's what it means. Starting off it and it will always have to finish with it. So it's the contents will go in between. That is what is called the bracket. It includes remarks or reference or definition or additional information, etc. So this is an additional information, reference or remarks or definition of whatever you are trying to say in that particular statement or the sentence. So that is what the bracket means. Let's look at a couple of examples so that it clears it more to yourself. So we've seen what a bracket is, right? So the starting and the ending of, so it's a pair that starts with this and then you write something which is in the middle and then you finish. So you've seen what a bracket is, and I'm going to tell you a couple of examples of where the brackets are used. There were 100 mangoes in the basket. Now you said it in writing form, there were 100 mangoes in the basket. Additional information you are giving here is the numerical number 100. So this is not necessary. Remember I said that in the bracket it's an additional info that you give. Second one, I can't answer your question because first one is the bracket here, I don't have enough facts. Second one, I don't have enough time to finish. So he's got two reasons that he can't answer the question. I can't answer your question because of The first one is I don't have enough facts. Second one is I don't have enough time to finish. So you can see the facts here is in the bracket because this is additional information to say why he can't answer the question. So like this, there's one more example I can give you is when you are attaching some documents with your letter, A, B, C documents, in the bracket you can say documents attached, or document 1 to 6 is attached, or whatever, how many documents that you are attaching. So that's your additional info to say what you are attaching in the letter. So that is what the bracket means. So now you know bracket is always an additional information or info that or additional statement that you are giving to explain the question, and it starts off with the curve, the contents will be in the middle, and it finishes off with the curve. So that is what you call the brackets. Now we are going to move on to the ninth punctuation, which is hyphen. Okay, let's move on to the ninth punctuation mark, which is called hyphen. And now hyphen means a small dash. So it's a very small dash, and it is to glue the words or numbers in a sentence. So it's a little dash that either glues two words together or numbers in a sentence. Now the example, I have couple on numbers and couple on words. 300 to 325 people are in the hall. So it's actually the word, the TO. It comes here with the hyphen. So 300 to 325. So that's how you would read. 50 to 60. So the hyphen will be between 50 and 60. So 50 to 60 students are expected. Now this is in numbers, and in words, the design is state of the art. So there is you can say state of the art is not really a word by itself, but it gives you the designing of that building. So you just say the state of the art. So it's more of an expression that is glued with the hyphen to make sense. The movie is well crafted. So there's no word called well crafted. So it's two words or two adjectives which are combined together with the hyphen to make sense here. And some of the the usual words that you come across are well known. He's a well known person. So well and known with a hyphen. World famous. There's two words, two compound adjectives, world and famous with hyphen. Short tempered. That's short and temper. So the person's got short tempered means he really flicks off so quickly. So short and tempered with hyphen. So it's gluing two compound adjectives together with the little sign called hyphen. This exercise is all about what hyphen is. So you can either use a hyphen in numbers to glue together, or you can use them in two compound adjectives glued together to make the sentence. We are moving on to the 10th punctuation word, which is dashes. Now there's two sets of dashes. One is N with an EN dash and EM dash. N dash is a smaller one, which is very much the same sign of the hyphen we looked at, and the M dash is the longer one. So I put them here also. N and M dashes are widely used to indicate the added emphasis. See, the previous one exercise we looked at the hyphen, it was like two words were used to glue together to give the meaning. So the hyphen, the little dash was used as a hyphen to compound the two adjectives. Now here the N and M dashes are used widely to indicate the added emphasis and interruption or an immediate change of the thought. So here the N1 is, there's no need for, it's like non-adjective bounded, and the M1 is no additional verbs added to it. So it still makes meaning with the sign small and the big one. Let me take you to the exercise with some examples so it's a little bit more clear for you. So let's take the N dash with the small dash here, and to see the couple of examples that will explain to you how it's used. The N dash. First example I have here is the London bound flight was delayed. Now it's using the two connections of the nouns. So here, the Then when you say about flights, you always say inbound and outbound. The flights that's coming in is inbound, the flights that's going out is outbound. So the London bound flight was delayed. So between these two words, this n dash is used to connect the emphasis, the connection of the emphasis between these two words. It's been used with the n dash. And here the second example is the New York to Boston Superfast Express will depart from platform 7. So that's between the two cities. There is an emphasis to say that this between this city and this city, the superfast train will depart from platform 7. So n dash is applied to combine two of these nouns together, and usually there won't be space there when you're connecting the two words. There won't be a space there. So that is what is an n dash is. Now let's look at the m dash, which is a little longer and where it's used. Now we'll look at m dash, which has got a longer line to the n dash, and it has it explains to you in a different way. One example, my friends. The m dash will be the connection between this word and the next word. So there won't be no space there. So my friends Peter, Paul and Patrick are coming soon. So if you take this Peter, Paul and Patrick, which is within the m dash, it still makes sense, my friends are coming. But this Peter, Paul and Patrick will give you a little bit extra information to say who are coming. Who are the friends who are coming? So the m dash is like, it emphasizes the details a little bit more elaborate, but it's between the meaning of, or the emphasis should be within the lines. So starting of the line, and then you tell the content of what it is, and then you finish up with the m dash, and then you say what's happening after. So my friends are coming soon, it's fine, but who are the friends who are coming soon is Peter, Paul and Patrick. So that is what the m dash means. Second example I have here is John m dash, who doesn't know what he was doing, finishing of the m dash, used all my shower gel. So take away these two lines between the take away the line between the m dash. John used all my shower gel. But because he doesn't know what he was doing, so I'm saying like he didn't know what the shower gel was or how to use it. So that's what it says, who doesn't know what he was doing with the shower gel. So this gives you a little bit of an extra meaning to the sentence with the m dash, which starts off, then you say the content, you finish off with the dash, and then you say what happened after. So that is what an m dash means. So I hope this exercise is, it is used quite freely, but not as common as hyphen. So like it's nice to know there is a thing called dashes, and the two types of them are n and m, and you're aware of the sign of it, so that when you're reading something, or you're going to write about something, then you would know where to apply them. The 11th punctuation word is called slash, and the sign is that. So I put it here as well, so you can see all the signs of the words, that punctuation words that we've been seeing today. So the 11th one is slash, and the meaning is to distinguish between two terms. So they are usually used in place of words which are or and. So when you are combining or the word and, you can use the slash without saying, we can use the slash without saying these two words, but it will mean the mean either or and. So let me give you one example for and here. The boys / girls are from the same school. So that means the boys and girls are from the same school. So you don't need to write and to specify the boys and the girls. With the slash, it's understood that it's used for in the place of and. I gave you the example for and. Now let me give you the example for or. So it's usually or and is used with a slash sign. Here you can go to office either by car, cycle, walk. So you can see the slashes have been used in conjunction of the meaning of or. So you can go to office either by car or cycle or walk. So instead of saying or repeatedly, if you put the slash here, it means or. In the previous sentence it meant and. So this is the useful of the slash, which is used with this sign, and now like it's usually used in conjunction with either of these two words in the sentence. Apostrophe is our 12th word out of the 14 punctuations that we have been looking at today. Now apostrophe is very much the same sign as the comma, but comma is added on next to the word, but apostrophe will be over the word. So it is, the meaning of apostrophe is it's used in place to shorten the words. So if the word is a bit lengthy, you can use the apostrophe to shorten the word. When possessive noun cases, it's used commonly. So when possessive nouns comes, apostrophe is in practice a lot. Now some of the words I've chosen here is rams, they have, so it's with the apostrophe, they have will become they have. Hers, apostrophe, doesn't, does not, so it will come as doesn't with a T. His, its. So like this is how it's like, his, he is, with the apostrophe it become his. It is, with the apostrophe it will become it is, will be shortened to with the apostrophe. So the apostrophe will come over the letter like that. Hers and doesn't, they have, rams, his, its. So these are the possessive nouns. We looked at possessive nouns in another exercise where it's mine, it's possessive, it's ours, it's hers, it's his and it's theirs. So these possessive nouns, instead of two letters or two words, it will be combined together with the apostrophe to make it as one word. So let me give you some examples so that these words, the few words here, and let me give you some examples so you know why it's been used like that. Okay, so I gave you some example words of the apostrophe. Rams, they have, hers, doesn't, his or he has, its or it has. So I've just given you a very short and simple example here for each word. This car is Rams. So that means it belongs to Rams. This is a possessive apostrophe word that's coming here. This car is Rams. They have 4 houses. So instead of saying they have, it's they have 4 houses. Hers. The pen I'm using is hers. Doesn't. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. So it doesn't make sense. He is a poet. Here he is a poet, or you can use it, he has a piano. So he is and he has, both will come with the apostrophe here, and apostrophe, as I said to you before, it's a shortened way of expressing the word. And it's your time, enjoy it. So it's your time, right? So this is how you make the punctuation marks in short sentences. Usually it's on the possessive nouns. So I hope this particular exercise that you understood how apostrophe is used. And apostrophe, the sign is that it's the same sign as the comma, but comma goes next to the word. Here it goes above the word, above the possessive noun. Okay, the 13th punctuation, it's called braces, and the sign is that. So you have, it's very similar to bracket, but it just goes, the shape is like this. So there will be content in the middle. It's used to denote mathematics or scientific formula. So it's not really used too much in the grammatical side of English, but is used in English if a mathematician or a scientific person is trying to explain some formula, then it's used within English. So that is how it will be. So for example, it's a plus you can see a plus b squared equals a squared b squared plus 2ab. So there is like the here a plus b squared, it will be in a bracket, then a bracket, b bracket, c, and 2a brackets, and the final is the braces. So you can see the whole thing inside here is one formula which completes with the braces. So that is how the braces are used, and it is used mainly in mathematics and scientific formulas. And if a person has to write the formula in letter writing, then obviously he will have to do it this way. So it goes, the formula goes in between this braces, which is the final one, and any subdivision of the formula will be done with the brackets in there. So it's quite simple, and you would only need it if you are using the mathematical or scientific terms. Otherwise, you don't need to worry too much about the braces, because it's a common practice to use the commas when you're doing sentences and statements, and not too much of the braces. Okay, we have come to the final punctuation mark, which is exclamation mark. Now the sign for that is a long line with a dot underneath it. So that is the way to explain the exclamation mark. Now what is exclamation? To express a surprise element in a sentence or to highlight a wow factor. Highlighting emotion. So it's generally it's highlighted with the emotion. So you say something, you are like excited to say about something. There's an emotion always involved. You won't be just so flat in saying an emotion. You'll always have a highlighted way of saying emotion. So it's to express a surprise element. So when you're surprised or you are excited about something, you will be having the emotion that will be highlighting, which is called exclamation. So the example I have here is, wow, what a car. Now you look at the car and you think, the car is amazing. So you just say, wow. So that is the highlight of your emotion, which is excited to say, or your surprise element to say the type of a car. Oh, I can't believe it, right? So somebody said something and you are really like surprised to see or hear about it. So you're saying, oh. So that is your the highlighting of the emotion, and your surprise element to say, oh, I can't believe it. The movie was simply amazing. Now you've seen this movie, which is so exciting, and you really thought the movie was amazing. Now how are you going to say it? Because you're so excited when you've seen the movie, you're highlighting the emotion there is amazing. So you just say, the movie is simply amazing. So every time you do exclamation sentence, it will finish up with the exclamation mark, which is here. So I think this exercise of 14 punctuation words that we have seen today is useful to you. It will have to be useful to you, because without punctuation there is no sentences. There is no English grammar at all. So if you mastered the punctuation marks, you've almost mastered how to write in English with the right punctuation added on to the words or the sentences or the essay, wherever you want to express something in letter writing. There is no letter writing without the punctuations, any of the punctuations which have been used. So let's quickly go through the punctuations for you to remember. Please memorize what they are with the signs of it, and what they are and where they are used. So the first one we looked at was colon with the 2 dots. The second one we looked at was semicolon with a dot and a comma, a little curve. The third one we looked at was full stop. The fourth one we looked at was a comma, which has got the dot and then the sign curves to it. The fifth one we looked at was question mark, so it will be like a hook with a dot. So the sixth one we looked at was the 3 dots, which are ellipses. Then the seventh one we looked at was the quotation, and then we saw like there's 2 different quotations as well in them. And the eighth one we looked at was brackets. Then we looked at hyphen, the 9th one. The 10th one was dashes, which is like small dashes, N dashes and M dashes. Then is slashes with the line which says and or the meaning of it. So we looked at slashes, then we looked at apostrophe, then we looked at braces, which are commonly used only between mathematics and scientific forms, and then exclamation. So these are the signs that you need to know and what they are and where they are used. I really do hope that little exercise, well, this is not a little exercise, it's quite a big exercise of the 14 punctuation marks that we use in English grammar. I hope this exercise was useful to you, and I tried and explained to you as simple as possible. And thank you for joining and watching the Bravo Easy to Speak English Grammar. Thank you.